and welcome back to TableTakes. It's Friday, aka Friday, aka Bye Yay! Hey! It's the day when we all celebrate TableTakes with some more news that's happening in gaming with your best friends in gaming. That's right, we're your best friends. You don't have friends? It's okay, we're your friends.
We're your friends now.
We're your friends now.
Give me $50 and take me to the airport. I'm your best friend now, okay?
I need help moving.
I'm joined by my best friends in gaming, Banzai the baby, Emma the baby, and Noir the baby. You're all the baby, okay? In the illustrious words of the poet Nicki Minaj, you're all my stepsons, okay? Thank you, Noir, for joining us again.
Thank you for having me again.
It's always great to see you. What have you been up to this week?
Oh, this week, hanging out with my little brother. He took over my Twitch channel and did better than me, so that can never happen again. Just ended a show, so that was sad. But we've just announced a new show that we're doing that I'm very excited about over on WebDM with Grant Ellis, and I'm so excited.
Oh, that's cool. We know Grant.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Nice.
Thank you. I have no idea how I slipped my way into that one, but now they can't get rid of me. It's too late. It's official.
Banzai, what have you been up to?
I've been slowly moving into my new house.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's official. I got the keys and everything, and it's really cool. And then I have everything I'm placing out, and then I realized that I have things organized in a way that it's just going to be like a computer room, and then I have my board gaming room, and then I get my little Harry Potter nook. Closet nook with my anime and manga collection. So yeah, then I realized I'm like, oh man, I don't think there's a chance that my kids won't grow up nerdy. There's just not genetically.
What will you do if your kids like want to rebel and they're like, Mom, we love football?
I mean, it's fine. No, we've had the discussion before because somebody mentioned they're like, Bonsai, you go like, oh, I'll be supportive of them if they're sports. I'm gonna go, but it's like you kind of sound like one of those like parents in the past who are like, oh, my kid is queer or something like that. That's what you're sounding like to us. Because I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? If they whatever they want to identify or sexually be, I'm cool. But then I was like, oh, sports. I guess I'll support them. I'll be there.
It sounds a lot like my parents. And my parents would drop me off at my Pokemon tournaments. They'd be like, yeah, she's into Pokemans. She plays the Pokemans, the little Pikachus. Yeah, she's really into that. You know, it does sound a lot like that, which is, I think, how a lot of kids are going to grow up with their parents being super nerds.
Yeah. Sports are cool. I did sports. I did soccer. I did ultimate frisbee, which is the nerdiest of sports, but still, it's still athletic.
I am a huge football fan, but I'm also in Chicago, so that makes me a Bears fan. So it just means I suffer.
Sorry.
I don't know what that means, but yes, I agree.
You see, no, you just have to interpret. People are saying like, I'm the Bears fan. I'm like, sorry for your loss.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss.
You know what? What's funny is that's fitting.
See,
every season.
Yes, you just guess.
Right. Yes. Every time that somebody's like, what sports team is your favorite? I'm like, the ball players from East Texas. Anyway, Emma, how are you?
I'm doing well. A couple of things. Playing more games with my friend Javion, who's a occasional host here. We stopped midway though, so there wasn't a winner or loser. Neither of us got our butts kicked, but I played Castles of Burgundy for the first time, which is a very classic game, has a recent re-release. One of those like no offense to the publishers, but kind of boring themed farming castle games, but actually super fun. So I watched a recent Our Family Plays Games YouTube video where Starla talked about her top 20 games, and that was one of them. And Starla is a genius. So I was like, oh, it's probably a good game. And I played it. It's a good game. Other bit of news is was very kind of overwhelming for me. Becca Scott, who is amazing nerd extraordinaire, actress, lots of awesome Magic the Gathering commercials and stuff. Played Manuel Artichokes and did a video of it. I'm gonna post a link because it's very.
Post the link, yay!
A little excited about that. So. Yeah,
and if you're watching for the first time, Emma designed this amazing, cute, fun game called the Manuel Artichokes, and yeah, it's a great game. Buy it. Purchase it.
Do it.
On my end, nothing really much has happened. I've been suffering. The Pacific Northwest is under a heat wave currently, which sucks because A, I'm a goth, and also B, I sweat a lot. If you see me sweating out in these streets, you better mind your business. And what I've been doing is trying to stay cool, preparing for Pride weekend, which is this weekend. I've got my first Pride event going on tonight, and then I have another Pride event going on tomorrow. Happy Pride, everybody. Whoop, whoop. Also, we're going to celebrate Pride. Disney dropped the best Pride gift, which is that now Loki from the Loki TV show and Marvel movies is canonically bisexual. We did it. Jamaican air horns. We did it, everybody. This is a win for the bisexuals. I literally did.
You know what? I think I can actually make that happen for you.
Oh my gosh!
Did you guys hear it? Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So bisexual and gender fluid, right?
That's right.
So.
Yes, it was such a cool thing to see. I literally did multiple flips around my apartment, and yes, it was great. It happened very subtly. It was not that big of a deal. It was just like, this is just a facet of my personality. But really, honestly, the biggest part of my personality is that I'm a god of mischief, and I love who I love, and I like who I like, and it was great. It was great. I should have known that was happening because of the bisexual lighting that was happening throughout that entire.
Just everywhere. It was everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, whoever directed this came to play.
Yes. I was like, this lighting is very distinct.
I mean, the lighting and also just the cinematography, like the beauty of this, it makes me ache in my heart. Just the gorgeous, extravagant.
So that was great, and I'm very happy about that, and I'm very happy to see hopefully Loki cosplayers at Pride events. Like a couple of years ago when we all found out that the Babadook was gay, and then there were a bunch of people dressed up like the Babadook.
A drink called Glorious Purpose. Everybody's messing up. That sounds like a perfect drink name.
Get on it, queers. I meant that lovingly. All right. So speaking of going out and spending your money too much on things that maybe you shouldn't be spending your money on after a global panini. Bonsai, I hear that somebody dropped some serious coin on some Pokemon cards.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, all of you folks, it's like somehow there is a generation of people that used to collect Pokemon cards when they're younger that have a lot of money now, and they're using that to make Pokemon just go insane in the membrane. So Golden Auctions has posted a holographic first edition Charizard card in near perfect condition with an opening bid of $35,000. This is 3 zeros after 35, mind you. Currently, though, this is just the beginning of the bid, by the way. Right now, as of Thursday, it's going to be ending this evening, but as of Thursday, it was the auction went up to about $41,000 for this particular card. This is just like huge news in terms of the Pokemon, like just like as more and more people start to like see like, oh, minting conditions, but like we said before, this is going to probably be more like strain on those like authentication sites and everything and getting everything curated. I think mostly what internalizes with me hearing this is just knowing that I had a whole binder full of Pokemon cards that were stolen when I was younger and I was going to keep. And then Oh,
I think we've all done that. We've all gone back and been like, the things we had in our youth that we did not, because I had the first gen Japanese pack of Pokemon cards. Like I was in Japan in 1997. And my parents were like, oh, this thing is really big. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I had the whole thing of original, and I had the first gen Americans as well, because when I came back to America, nobody knew what this pocket monster thing was. And so I just bought it all up because I had been in Japan. Yeah, that is somewhere in a Texas landfill right now. So, it's cool. It's whatever. I'm not bitter about it. That would be weird. So yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, so is there anything in not just like gaming, but anything in your fandom that you would spend this much money on if you could?
Ooh.
Yes.
What is it?
There are several things. I would spend a lot of money on the Rocketeers Rocket Pack because I am a huge fan of that movie. I mean, just the Rocket Pack and the helmet, not a functional real one, but like the one from the movie. Oh yeah. With the bubble gum, or actually with the bubble gum off, because at the end of the movie, it's not important. I would tell you.
Did you hear that they're bringing back? Did you hear that they're redoing the Rocketeer? Did you hear that?
I did not hear that, and I am happy and also terrified.
Yeah.
There are some things that should just be left the way they were, like The Craft. I've just recently watched the movie. It's awful.
That's another.
We're not gonna go there.
Bunsai and Emma, do you have anything that you would spend that much money on?
I think it would be a complete signing from Terry Pratchett's Discworld series of books, a complete signed copy, or of sets of the books. I got into the fandom too late because I was like, oh, I can go to a thing and get it signed, and then he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's really good. Emma?
It took me a second because I'm kind of fickle, and I'm always like changing the things I like. The one consistent thing, favorite movie of all time, Terminator 2. So like the
choice.
arm, maybe, or like even probably the arm. I saw they had some of that stuff at Mopop.
Yeah.
They had the exhibit a couple of years back, so they had some of those things. So yeah, that would probably be mine.
I think for me, it would be Elvira drives this like 1957 Cadillac black car, and I really, really want it. It's like it has demons all over it, and I want either Elvira's original car or the original car from the Monsters. That's what I would say.
That's practical too. A car, like you can drive that and go places.
I want the dragster. I want to drive that around to my local QFC.
Oh, that's so cool.
I truly believe Elvira is immortal at this point.
She looks so good. She still looks banging.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that's what happens when you drink the blood of the innocent.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. So speaking of, that wasn't a good transition.
Speaking of drinking the blood of the innocent, what comes next, Isabella?
Speaking of drinking the blood of the innocent, we have some magic news where you drink with innocence. Emma, take it away.
Yeah. So specifically talking about the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons Magic the Gathering set. As this approaches, I feel like this is the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse or something. It's just so much of both of these things where, I mean, they're going there. It's like they announce something. We have Drist, we have Guinevere, we have Lolth. They're just throwing the whole kitchen sink in there. It's not just like, oh, let's sprinkle a little bit of D&D. It's like, let's just throw in the whole thing, throw in the whole book. The most recent announcement has been a mechanical one, and this is the Venture mechanic. And you have to check out this link and the cards because it's insane. It is so elaborate. So try to explain this. Even me as a Magic player, I'm like, wow, that's a lot. So basically you're gonna have 3 dungeon cards. The dungeon cards, it's like the city's blessing. It's not a card, it's a state, basically. It's not something that goes in your deck or your sideboard. It just exists outside of reality. And when you go on a venture, you can pick one of 3 dungeons and do the first thing. And every time you venture, you go deeper. It's a little choose your own adventure where you go into further rooms. Each one has a mechanical thing where you scry some cards, you lose some life, you gain some life, and when you finish a dungeon, you get a state of having completed a dungeon, and that state is also mechanical. So yeah, that is a lot.
You lost me. So
I understand. I got it. Yeah. Totally.
And apparently the dungeons are based on well-known D&D adventures, Tome of Annihilation, Dungeon the Mad Mage, and the Lost Mine of Phandelver. So not only are they dungeons and look like dungeons, they're real IP in-world dungeons. So, yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So just having an entire other piece of stuff that you can do in there. It's cool. And I will say, I've played Dungeons and Dragons before. I'm neither here nor there. I love role-playing games, but that's, to me, it's just another role-playing game. But the people I know who are really into Dungeons and Dragons specifically, my friends are really into the flavor of this, and they really appreciate that they're getting the thematics and that they are doing a lot of work to make it kind of feel like Dungeons and Dragons.
So Magic and Dungeons is like, they're like forming a Voltron of like, they're like coming together. Because at first I thought this news was, I thought earlier news when they were like, oh, we're doing like a cute little collab, you know, like we're doing this. But they're like solidifying their union together.
Full on going into it.
The one thing I do want to reiterate is they are saying that the universes aren't connected for whatever that's worth. So it's not like Forgotten Realms is part of the multiverse, because there is a multiverse in the Magic the Gathering world. So they're saying like, okay, Driss isn't going to go and hang out with Nissa or whatever for now. I mean, again, they could always change things, but...
It's true.
I have feelings on that. Like, the whole point of Magic is you're a planeswalker. Don't be cowards. Just say that Forgotten Realms is a plane that somebody walked in, and let's just get it popping.
That's fair.
I mean, it feels like they're, I don't know. I guess because I'm so distrustful that I'm always like, this is a money move. But like, I think that they're really trying to like solidify their whole thing so that they can kind of sell you more stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like they're hedging their bets. And the thing that, I'm sorry, this is my last thing, and then I'll leave it alone. The thing is, it works. There's a lot of Magic the Gathering races and classes and stuff that they have brought over to D&D, and it works. So just make it official. Like, let's stop playing.
I think it's going to happen eventually.
They're on Facebook. They're in a relationship. It's complicated, okay? So.
Wow. That was so sweet. Wait, is there more Magic and D&D news, Emma?
Yeah, so in addition to the dungeons, they also released some of the character cards, and I'm going to be honest, this is weird to me as a Magic player. I can't even begin to understand what's happening here, but they have, for example, a copy of a Flumph card, which is, I like the Flumph because it's adorable and just goofy. On the one side, it's got a full art picture, and on the back side, we're going to post the link here, it's a stat block. So it has the character and then like the stats for it, and they said that you'd be able to use these. I was comparing it to my spellbook cards. So you have your spellbook cards, right? That's a handy reference for spells in D&D. And this is like, okay, it's a Magic card, but if I'm playing D&D, I can actually reference this because it's a legit actual stat block for the characters. but I don't see like a power and toughness. I don't see abilities. So I don't know how it works. It's a magic card. I might just have to look closer at the card, but it exists. So we have cards that are maybe it's a token or something. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, if anyone wants to take a look at it and maybe see, is like, oh, well, this is how it works. But
This makes no
for
sense.
now, it seems very D&D. I know, right? I'm just like, okay, I get it from a D&D
the art,
perspective.
though.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, that exists. And I'm sure it's still early days. We're still speculating about stuff. I'm sure it'll all become clear in time. But yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. It's weird.
If you know more about it, please post it in the chat and explain it to us. Because I'm not going to be of any help. So I just want to make sure that you guys all know that it is Pride Month. Although we should have Pride every single day of the year, and Gen Con TV is partnering together with Trains Planar RPG for Pride Charity Week, benefiting the National Black Trans Advocacy Coalition, and that is still available for you to donate to. There will be a link that is posted in the chat for that as well. Check that out. Do something good for other groups, especially for Black trans people who face the highest amounts of violence towards queer people, queer and trans people in the nation, and who could use the advocacy right now because of the fact that there are many states across the country that are attacking them and their rights and their right to exist. So do something good, sprinkle some goodness for other people, and that post, we will post that link periodically into the chat as well. Bonsai.
Yeah.
We're going to Mars?
We are going to go to Mars.
Okay, but first we have to go to Target.
We do have to go to Target, but all right. So some of those people who love Terraforming Mars are part of the big fandom there. Note there was a Kickstarter by Stronghold Games that was announced that they're going to be making Terraforming Mars into a card form, so you don't really have to have all the little pieces if you don't need it. It's supposed to make it a little bit more easier for you to get other people into the fandom. So there has been a little bit of, I think, mistaken drama. I'll go ahead and say that I myself, who also kickstarted this when it was on Kickstarter a while ago, I also felt a little feelings. I felt feelings, complicated feelings of happiness and joy. But then Emma, thank you for being the voice of reason, basically told me a little bit about the game designer background and was like, yo, no, Bonsai, don't get mad. So I have now seen the light and I'm on a better side of this. For those who don't know, Stronghold Games, this particular Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition is going to be released in Target. It was first launched on Kickstarter with all the bells and whistles, right? And then due to, from my understanding, transportation errors, Target, of course, being a big company, already has those layers locked down and ready to go. So they were able to get their version of the game first for them. By the way, the Target version is not as pretty or as premium as the ones you're getting at Kickstarter. So they are available now. And those who kickstarted it are getting it probably in a few more weeks to months, depending on how shipping is. One of the things that we're going to go ahead and make note, I'm happy that these a lot of people are like, oh, this seems a little disingenuous because they made the contract with Target before they did the Kickstarter. A lot of folks were saying, but to note, we're happy that, because of course Stronghold Games are still a small company, they're making moves and they're getting attention, and this is good for independent creators. And sometimes, explained to me, they can't control the flow of the spice, which is a different game. Sorry. Yeah.
But what it sounds like to me, one is that what's the difference between a Kickstarter and then getting some sort of commercial contract, right? The Kickstarter is to engage with your community and to be we're offering you something special. This is just for you. This is just for you guys to kind of engage with and get something that's a little bit nicer than what they get in the retail. Retail, that's something where it's just it goes out generally. Congrats to them for getting a big contract. That's what you want. We've had so many conversations conversations about how people cannot afford to live off of games alone. So this is a huge thing. And it also sounds like it was just a mistake. Something had happened with the transportation. It is hard to do Kickstarters and to do all that transporting stuff, that's shipping stuff on your own, versus Target, who has so many contracts, so many different resources with their delivery. And of course, they'll be better at it than somebody who's distributing through Kickstarter alone. So it sounds like there were just some miscommunication. There was a mistake that was made. And also, like I say this all the time, when you kickstart something, you better lower them expectations way down low, okay? Just give the money and be like, listen, if I get something, great for me. If I don't get, like, people have expectations with Kickstarter where they're just like, I've given you money, now I own you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You gotta relax that.
Hey, just to hop in here, I remember reading a bit ago during the Panini, there was a shipment ship that was stuck that really kind of messed up shipping for a while, and I was reading reports on Kickstarters maybe feeling the brunt of that for some time coming afterwards. So there's been a lot that's been going on during this Periscope that might be messing up the Kickstarter. So it's just a little bit of grace and a little bit of patience goes a long way, y'all.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. One of the worst things that came out of this is Stronghold Games, specifically I believe it was a woman community manager, received personal death threats because of all this. So someone received death threats because they were going to get a game still 3 months early, but still a week or two later than someone who went to pick it up at Target, a worse version of it. So first and foremost, like, chill the F out, people, right? It's a game. Like, Jesus Christ.
Like there's never an acceptable time to send a death threat. And what's going on in your life where you got enough time to sit behind a computer and write a death threat? Like, do anything else. It's more productive. Like,
if you're gonna send a death threat, do it over something real. Like, do it over something like national health care, like, an injustice.
Voting day off.
So, yeah.
Something that actually, but don't send death threats. I'm not doing that. But if you are going to send one, do something over something that's going to improve someone's life.
I'm just saying, Mitch McConnell's mailing address is public knowledge.
Listen, okay. All right, and the cold clammy hand of death is so close on that man. So I just feel like if you're gonna do it, not a game. That's
you don't even need to send a threat. Just send a reminder. That'll mess most people up. Like, no matter what, one day it's gonna happen. It's just like
It's a Google Calendar invite. Yes,
Google Calendar. Oh my gosh.
It's just. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. You guys are embarrassing us as gamers.
Yeah. And I have seen a lot of, I'm not currently doing self-publishing myself, but I know a lot of designers, I know a lot of publishers, and like, it was bad throughout the whole year and a half, but it's gotten worse. Like, you'd think like, oh, things are maybe getting, it's not better. It's due with like tariffs, and I think in part due to the ship getting stuck. Like, shipping has just been like, a lot of things have been blown out for 3 to 6 months. Like, they told you something based on information they have. Things change, things have gotten worse. So right now, like, you really please, any sort of products, just give people some grace about
remember
that.
The Evergreen? We remember that big old shipping container that ruined everything for like 3 weeks. Like, come on, let's be real about it.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that do not ruin things, we are entering into a brand new day.
New day? Sorry.
We've got some D&D and wrestling news, which makes me so happy.
So good.
Okay, so I want to start this off by letting y'all know that there's no professionalism here right now. I'm just about to fanboy out. So sorry, that's where we at. That's where we are. WWE wrestlers Xavier Woods, Ember Moon will be playing D&D with Abria Iyengar, aka Quiddy, Summer of Abria. Xavier Woods is obviously part of the very popular tag team New Day. love it so much. And former NXT Women's Champion Ember Moon, Mass Retribution Group member Mace, and NXT Tag Team Champion Tyler Breeze will be led by the actual play star and incoming Dimension 20 and Critical Role DM Bria Iyengar. Bria's coming for all your games. Be mad. Whose Chaos Carnival adventure will see the group's characters searching for their lost precious belongings underneath a mysterious big top. You got some of the best wrestlers in WWE.
Yes.
You got one of the best GMs out here.
Yes.
And you got Circus. It's everything. They will be playing a session as part of D&D Live 2021. They previously played in a session run by Jeremy Crawford at the last D&D Live. I would say this is an upgrade, baby. We out here, Summer of Quitty. Yeah.
Noir, you and I, we need to go to WrestleMania. We need to. We need to go to a wrestling thing because you get it. And you're hyped. This is great. Ember Moon is like one of my favorite, like the women's lineup of wrestling.
Amazing.
She's so good. She's so dope. I love her so much and I'm obsessed with her. The women's lineup from like, oh my God, it's so good this year. They're so amazing. And like, who doesn't like, first of all, New Day, but like Xavier Woods is like he's so good. And if you guys aren't following, he has a really, really great YouTube channel called Up, Down, Down. And it's so fun. He's so funny. He has really great wrestlers on it. They play a whole bunch of different kinds of games. This I'm very excited for this new session. So it's a good day. It's a good day. Yes. So it's also going to be held in conjunction not only with D&D Live, which is happening next month in July, but it's also going to be for raising money as well for charity, which is awesome. I love that all of the different kind of things that they're doing for D&D Live is also for charity. This one is going to be fundraising for Connor's Cure, which is a fund for the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, founded by the wrestlers Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, in honor of the late WWE fan Connor, who passed away at age 8 in 2014. If you're a fan of wrestling, you've probably seen all the dedications to him. He was a huge wrestling fan, and unfortunately in his really short life, but through his short life, though, he's been able to create a lot of good. And so I'm very excited for this. D&D Live seems to be like the new D&D event of the year, the new gaming event. They're doing more celebrity stuff than they ever have before. Speaking of, we've got some more celebrity announcements for D&D Live this year. Wait, Noir, you want to take that away?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Okay, so real quick, I remember I was thinking of the Connor video. If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube. I was trying very hard not to cry because it is just the most sweet thing ever. So anyway, sorry. So we've got Jack Black, Kevin Smith, Reggie Watts, all playing Dungeons and Dragons for charity. There's going to be an upcoming session of Lost Odyssey. Last night, it's going to be live streamed as part of D&D Live 2021, Wizards of the Coast online event focused on the TTRPG, which runs through July 16th and 17th. They're going to be joined by the Orange is the New Black Star comedian Laura Lapkus and actor Jason Mewes, best known as Jay in the Jay and Silent Bob movies, as well as another very special guest that has been yet to be announced. I will pay any amount of money for that to be me. Next month, Lost Odyssey Last Light will see the latest party of guest players jump into an adventure teased as being somewhat pirate themed, with references to swashbuckling and the promise of dragons, krakens, and sea giant queens. I would pay any amount of money to also see a dragon fight a kraken, because I don't know who wins that. Honestly, I'm trying to think about it. I don't know who wins that one. The D&D session will raise money for Extra Life, a charity that provides support for children in hospitals across the U.S. and Canada as part of the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, primarily fundraising through events related to video games and other forms of play. And D&D Live 2021 is going to be broadcast in collaboration with the Resurrected Video Game Network, G4, and kickoff at 12 p.m. Pacific time on July 16th. That's right, G4 is back, baby. We out here.
G4 is back.
We did it.
This is the wildest thing to me. Like, G4 is back, which is, I don't know if you guys grew up watching G4 at all.
I remember when it was Tech TV, and then they were
just
let's get cool, and it became G4, and I'm like, that's right.
I do remember that. G4 for the youngins was a TV. It was a TV station, and it had it predated Twitch, it predated YouTube. It was like the source of all gaming information, nerd information. And it was like the only thing that we had to watch and hear video game news and gaming news and things like that. It went downhill after they were bought out by a corporate entity. This is what corporate entities do. And the craziest thing about it was that G4's most successful programming that they had was this form of Let's Plays, where you would watch people play video games, and the corporate entity at large said, that's boring. Nobody's just going to sit around and watch a bunch of people play video games. And they pulled that programming so that they could put a bunch of hot girls jumping on trampolines. I don't remember.
Yeah, they replaced so much programming with The Man Show, which to this day is just...
They tried to put in a bunch of sexist programming because they thought, they're sexist nerds. That's what they want. And no, that's not what we wanted. And then YouTube came back, and YouTube and Twitch is huge. And now G4 is back, which is it shouldn't have gone anywhere, but that's neither here nor there. So it's very...
so sorry. I was just going to say, some notable alumni from the heyday of G4 include Psylocke, Olivia Munn. She started off as a game collaborator and became a huge actress, which is incredibly cool.
Yeah, G4 should not have gone down. If you guys search into the history of G4, how it went down was a real shame. But they're back.
Noir, I also love there's a special unannounced guest, and for you saying it's maybe they don't even know who it is. It's Star Search. They're
we're still looking. It could be anybody. Look, Emma, I'm gonna need you to not ruin my dreams right now.
No, I'm rooting. I'm teasing. Vote for Noir.
Yeah.
I need something, Lord. No, I'm just kidding.
They're just gonna be on TV, and they're gonna be and it's Noir.
Come on down. I've got the name tag on me. It'd be great.
That would be great, actually. I would love that. Speaking of reviving our childhoods, there is a upcoming He-Man board game called Fields of Eternia that is launching on GameFound next month. I don't know where I've been, but I didn't know what GameFound was until fairly recently.
It's new.
Okay.
It's new. Yeah.
I felt really out of my depth. So if you guys don't know, Masters of the Universe is being revived with a new Netflix series, which is actually being done by Kevin Smith, and Mark Bernard and a whole bunch of great people. I was a huge He-Man fan as a kid. I was a big Thundercats kid. I was a big Thunderbirds fan anyway, She-Ra fan. Anything that had a big muscly person holding a sword was my jam. Okay, and that explains a lot about me. They're doing that, but there's also another Masters of the Universe game as well, so don't get confused. These are two totally different games. So we've got a Polish game designer, Archon Studio. Oof, okay, we're going with it. Archon Studios announced June 16th that its upgaming board game, Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia, will be launching on GameFound, which is a crowdfunder campaign site, much like Kickstarter as well. It'll be comprised of kind of team-based competitive miniature combat. As the players, you can be He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Skeletor. Skeletor is my favorite, obviously, no shock to anybody, and a roster of other notable characters. It's faction gameplay, two-sided game board. You have these little unpainted miniatures, so you can do your little Warhammer paint, stuff. And you have different kind of troops. You also have mounts like Battle Cat, and you're playing kind of a capturing the flag kind of standoff where you can capture notable locations like Castle Grayskull, which when I was a kid, I had a big Castle Grayskull playset, sidebar about me, and I would put my Barbies in it. The base game is 3 versus 3 setup, each session taking about roughly 2 hours. And this has the rules and the units inside for the classic fashions. The Masters of the Universe, who are the good guys, and the Evil Warriors, who are shocking, the bad guys. So there's also another Masters of the Universe license, which is coming out, which is Masters of the Universe, the board game, / Clash for Eternia, which is also going on a crowdfunding campaign. That one is going on to Kickstarter as well. So there's 2 games: Masters of the Universe, Fields of Eternia, which is going on to GameFound, and then Masters of the Universe, the board game / Clash for Eternia, which is going on Kickstarter. Fund both of them if you want, if you have the power of Grayskull. But I'm really excited for this. It just feels like with the popularity of She-Ra and the new Masters of the Universe, it just feels like, I don't know, these like fun, cute fantasy things are coming back again, and we can live again as children, you guys.
Doesn't She-Ra also take place in Eternia?
Yeah, She-Ra and He-Man are brother and sister. Spoiler alert.
Did not know that.
Really?
Huh. Oh yeah. I thought they were cousins for some reason in my head.
But there's no connection. The He-Man TV show and the She-Ra cartoon are not made by the same people.
Because they're cowards. No, I'm kidding.
They're cowards. I agree. That's a whole nother conversation.
Nora just wants everything to be mixed up. Just like total crossover.
Nora wants that smoke today. No, I agree, because the She-Ra got a lot of flack for being too feminine and being too girly, and the He-Man show is very masculine. So masculine, I would argue that, you know what, never mind. It's Pride Month, but anyway.
Yeah. That's all I think of when I see
Listen, sometimes you can do too much with your masculinity, and you're doing too much, okay? Sis? All right? He's walking around in a leather harness. Let's talk about it. Anyway, so, but they didn't want to cross the two things, because they thought, okay, the She-Ra fans are girls and He-Man fans are boys, and we don't want to cross. Whatever, they're cowards. Anyway, speaking of things that are having a resurgence right now, looks like there's some more even more Vampire the Masquerade news.
I know, it's wild. They're just out here these days. Yeah. So Vampire the Masquerade is getting a comic book crossover that you can play in the TTRPG, tabletop RPG. Oh my goodness, my brain just went. World of Darkness Crimson Thaw will include exclusive content for V5 that allows players to play through the events of the comics, which is wild. Vampire the Masquerade spin-off comic series is crossing over with the fellow World of Darkness RPG Werewolf the Apocalypse in an upcoming event that would include new content for the tabletop title. The 3-issue event will see Sicily deal with the rising conflict between vampires and werewolves in the city as the two factions of supernatural beings combat each other over spots in the cities, and it's going to be introducing elements from the Vampire the Masquerade and the Werewolf RPG, different spots from both of the RPGs. This is going to kick off in September 2021 with horror comics artists Aaron Campbell and Joshua Hickson illustrating illustrating covers for the series. So if you're like me and you're like a massive Underworld fanboy and you want to like play that, you're not going to get any closer than this. And I truly love the idea of one form of media joining the other, in the sense that, you know, you can read a comic book and then participate in it. That I think should be the next point of focus for the TTRPG community in general. Just imagine being able to take to participate in huge world-affecting events. Like, could you imagine if there was a Marvel TTRPG and you could take part in Civil War, or if you could take part in any of the Crisis events in DC? I think even if you're not particularly a fan of the World of Darkness, this should be something that you look into just to see if it works, how it works, and if you're a game designer, you might really want to consider just kind of deconstructing this and seeing how you might want to pursue something like this, because this is mind-blowing. If it works out well, oh heck yeah.
I'm excited for Goth Girl Summer.
They steady winning.
Speaking of more news to help you play and some aids that might actually make play more inclusive or more fun for other people, Bonsai, you have some more Cyberpunk news?
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2020 classic game master guide. Hey, listen up, you primitive screwheads, is getting an audiobook release. So originally it was like 1994. Listen up, primitive screwheads. Was a book that basically helped like people. It's a guide to like, how do I run a Cyberpunk 2020 game? This time it's going to be in audiobook form for those like me who like to do chores while listening and don't have time to just sit down and read. This is great. Also for those people who might be sight impaired or blind. This is just a great thing. I feel like, hey, more inclusive stuff. This will be released on Audible and iTunes on July 5th. So hey, keep an eye out if you wanted to go ahead and have a cool reference guide to how to do Cyberpunk 2020 RPG games.
Yeah, hopefully more people will do more of their GM rules books on audio as well, because that helps people learn as well. All right, you guys, to round up our news, we have some Gygax news. The original makers of Dungeons and Dragons, if you guys aren't familiar with the Gary Gygax and the Gygax Brood, they have relaunched to a new company. Ernie Gygax, son of the infamous, and infamous, I mean that in a genuine way, not known for a good way, Gary Gygax, is launching a new company. They have had a significant amount of controversy, troubles with WotC, making some inflammatory statements against, women, people of color, queer people, trans people. Who haven't they offended? And they are already causing Twitter beef. They're already doing that stuff, and they've just announced their stuff. Ernie Gygax has also released a new video called Live from the Bunker, which should tell you exactly what the vibe is for that video, where he already started dissing people, implied that the people who were part of WotC who wanted to make their games more inclusive and to diversify WotC were acting like a, quote, pack of lemmings. And that his game, the artists and designers that are part of his new company are people that are old-fashioned, perhaps anti-modern, and are people who are not even interested in the concept of gender identity, which is an interesting way of putting that you're an old man who likes old man things and enjoys yelling at clouds and does not like diversity or new things or anything like that. Imagine thinking that WotC is too woke for you. What is wrong with you?
Wow.
So, hey. Okay, I've gone in on Watsy. Watsy is doing the bare minimum. Anyway. So this to me is kind of like this is the pendulum is swinging the other way, right? We have the people who they hate the new movements of games, they hate the inclusivity, they hate how woke it is, and they want their own little thing, right? And so now the Gygaxes have carried on their legacy of being old, bitter men who make things not inclusive. Oh, and let's not forget that, you know, women, our brains are too small to even understand how to play these games. So, you know, like, I mean, now you can have your little games by yourself. Just saying. Just saying. I'm not bitter about it.
So I'm gonna just tag in here real quick. I just want to say that for those people who appreciated the older versions of D&D, I want to make it very clear that nobody has a problem with you having a preference for your system. Nobody has a problem with you wanting to play advanced or second edition or anything like that. If that's what you enjoy, fine. I am fond of 3.5. You can enjoy whatever system you want. The problem comes not from nostalgia, but from living in the past. Old white guys, you don't have the dominance over the space anymore. You don't have the dominance over the space anymore because it has been opened up, and your competition is beating you. There's a reason that the LGBTQ community and people of color are doing so well, despite having to work against some of the more established brands and names via WotC. And the reason is because they're coming with new and refreshing ideas, because they're coming from a perspective that you can't imagine. That's it. The only thing that's happening right now, it's not people being woke, which by the way is just a dog whistle and a way for old white guys to say that they can't compete when they have to be held accountable. It's just that you can only the black guys, I mean the orcs are evil and you have to slay them. You can only do that so long before somebody goes, you know what, I have an elaborate and emotional story that matters and was going to pull at your heartstrings more than your desire to kill. I've played a lot of these old games. I've played a lot of these old systems that have things like the belt of gender switching, where you know it's a cursed item and you get tricked to putting it on and now you're a girl. Ha 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 ha. That's not funny, it's not compelling, and it's not useful, and there's nothing of value in it. What is valuable is what's popular right now, and what the reason that it's popular is because it's better than what you made. So get good, scrub, and that's
Mic dropped. If this microphone I have wasn't so expensive, I would drop it. Yes.
Wow. Damn.
I think that's great. That's it. You know, die mad.
I guess sorry, the one thing that we put, yes, like, hey, let us in. What are we gonna do? Just but also, I guess for a side note that is kind of like what kickstarted this whole thing is that the small town where they're doing this little like museum. By the way, you could just get a museum and have all of these like old style RPGs celebrated. Just how they're trying to do that. Like the town is very excited for it, but this just seems like a bad way to like put a nice museum, which has in good faith you're thinking, oh, it's gonna be nice, it's gonna be the history of gaming. Yeah, so that's just the thing. It started off with something that you would think, oh, awesome, and then people had to go mess it up.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I say die mad about it. So we are now moving on. We were unionized from our Kickstarters. We overthrew the monarchy, and it looks like actually we have a new monarchy, a new queen who's coming in to lead our Kickstarters, and that's Queen Noir. Leading us into a monarchy of darkness. Do you have an introduction for the Kickstarters?
Kickstarters. We're about to tell you about some Kickstarters. That's so terrible. I'm sorry.
Yes, that was great. Emma, kick us off with our first Kickstarter.
All right. Up first, we have Chroma by Breaking Games, an electronic 1 to 3 player abstract strategy game that becomes art. I'm going to drop the link in here in a second. Just check it out. Every time I do a Kickstarter, I'm like, just look at the pictures. It's just like, I just like things that are aesthetically really cool. So for this one, you're actually playing with light and color. It's lit from underneath, and you're placing tiles that are kind of translucent in different colors, and you're doing color mixing. So I'm like, remember grade school, red and blue make purple. And when you stack them, you're trying to get your color combo from that and have the most triangles. I just really love also the crossing over of digital and tabletop games and playing around with those in new ways. So if you also like those kinds of concepts, check it out. Chroma by Breaking Games, with ending July 22nd. 26 days to go.
All right, so I've got some queer creators that I really want to shout out into the chat. Please, my co-hosts, help me by dropping these tweets into the chat, please. Thank you. So the first one that I have is Sin, at Sinodai on Twitter, who is a great queer creator. They have a bunch of games on their Twitch as well. Please check them out, especially if you like cyberpunky, kind of cyber-ish, weird, dark kind of stuff as well. I've got Ale, who is at Cat Baron Ale on Twitter as well. They also have an itch.io account where they make all kinds of different kinds of inclusive games as well. They also have a podcast where they play games on their podcast called Overreal Medcast as well. Got Connie Chang, who is one of the DMs for the Transplanar RPG, and that is also one of the things that we are raising money for in conjunction. So look for the link for that as well. You can follow Connie Chang on @byConnieChang on Twitter as well. Located here in Seattle, the hottest place on earth, literally and figuratively, we have Arcanum Dice, at Arcanum Dice, which is a small batch handmade dice maker here in Seattle. You can find them on Twitter as well. And also, I don't speak Portuguese, but this person's name I think is Guilherme. I don't know. I'm so bad at Portuguese. They are a Brazilian game creator. You can find them at Cappuccino Gill on Twitter as well. They just released a new game called Loopy Lore, which is a co-op storytelling card game where your friends make up a game. And there's a print and play version of this, as well as a tabletop simulator mod as well. So go check out their brand new game. And if you guys know of any other queer creators, queer players, DMs, whatever, please post that link to us. We would love to shout them out, not just for this month, but also for the future as well. That's it.
All right. Really quick, I have my Kickstarter with 21 days left, ends Friday, July 16th. An enchanting strategy board game to 2 to 4 players about growing a magical forest. One, it's made out of wood and it's really pretty. That's what hooked me. And also some of the creatures, the spirit creatures, kind of reminded me of some of the Miyazaki films. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it right now. Wolves.
Princess Mononoke.
Yes, thank you. Princess Mononoke character. Thank you. I was blinking. So it's just a really pretty game, kind of like you all are spirits trying to grow this beautiful forest. It's kind of like a cooperative growing forest game where you're trying to see who grows the best trees the bestest. And it's just a really beautiful really beautiful Kickstarter. If you're into like a lot of these ideas of spreading like good spiritual goodness everywhere, and go ahead, follow it, all that love, and it's wooden. It's pretty.
It would.
It would.
It would. And I'll be tagging it here with my Kickstarter to watch, which is Tidebreaker RPG Cinematic Tabletop RPG System. It's got 26 days left. It ends Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. Tidebreaker is a TTRPG system that lets you step into the role of hyper competent heroes and explore worlds that your group creates together from the ground up. It's a D6 dice pool system designed to make most of your characters awesome weapons, abilities, and gadgets. Dozens of options for abilities, combinations. Clever planning pays off as much as raw strength. And this is created by Nick Butler, who is a game designer who enjoys deconstructing tropes and turning them into fun game mechanics. So if you want to play as a super slick superhero or a suave spy, or you just want to go full John Wick on somebody, this is the system to do it. You can find Nick you can find him on Twitter as Follow My Blade, or you can find him right here in the chat as Follow My Blade, which is my favorite name to say because I feel like a villain already. So if his username can make me feel like a villain, I'm sure his game can make me feel like a dope hero.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being with us. But wait! Don't touch that dial, because we're going to come right back with Noir, who is... That's you. Come on down, Noir. Noir is going to be interviewing special guests Manuel and Lynne from the Monsters of Murka team. They're going to be talking with us right after this. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with Noir asking those questions. And then we've got even more stuff coming up after that because of the fact that we never sleep. We keep on this stuff all day, every day, all day America. Okay, that's how we work. That's why we're out of our minds. Okay. So if you want to check more of our stuff, you can still stick around for the Gen Con TV Pride Charity One-Shot with Transpire RPG. The donation link is in the chat. Please check that out. We've got Mondays, 6 p.m., board games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesdays, 10 a.m., this game gets dicey. And Friday, back with us, your best friends, 2 p.m., TableTakes, Pacific Standard Time. Remember to follow or subscribe, turn on notifications. If you miss a show, you can always find it 24 hours later on YouTube. Wow, amazing. If you want to connect with other Gen Con fans, the Generals, check out our official Discord. You can also catch all of us online as well. And if you want to fight to me about inclusivity in games, drop in my DMs. Fight with me about it. I don't care.
Can I give you an air horn?
Air horn! Yay! Thank you so much to Bonsai. Thank you so much to Emma. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves and happy Pride Day. But stay tuned for Noir's interview coming up now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second half of today's episode of TableTakes. I am joined with the Monsters in Murka team. God, that's not going to stop being awesome. Manuel and Lynne, hello and welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for having us. Feel free to call me Manny. Only my mother calls me Manuel, and when she's angry.
You know what? Awesome. I will take that to note. So sorry about that, because I know the fear of hearing the name my mom calls me. It's just like it's never fun.
It's that deep primal fear in the back of your mind.
It's like I know she's 2 hours that way, but she still can hit me with a belt somehow. As fun as that is to talk about, what we're here to talk about is Monsters of Murka. Can we get a little bit of a rundown on what exactly is Monsters of Murka?
Well, Monsters of Murka is a satirical 5th edition D&D setting set in the world of Murka on the planet Earth. Welcome to it. And it's It's pop culture, it's our history as a country, it's current events, all rolled up and then given a satirical spin to make it funny, ideally. Obviously, humor is subjective, but I'd like to think we do a fairly decent job. But more than that, it's a way to interact with things that are happening in the world and that we experience in life in a way that is safe and healthy and hopefully therapeutic.
I can tell you for a fact that you all succeeded very much so in terms of making it funny. Some of the monsters that you all have in the setting are just fantastic. I have to ask, what made you want to write for Monsters of Murka? Like, were you on the team from the get-go, or did you see this and go, you know what, I've got some ideas of some silly stuff I see every day that should be a monster?
So the answer might surprise you, is mangoes. One of the co-founders, Jaron R.M. Johnson, and I bonded on Twitter over a shared mango tweet that like Vitamin Water was doing, some weird viral thing they were trying to get going. And in that, we wound up playing in a home game together offline, and we became really good friends. And he told me that he was, and I'd seen Monsters of Murka in the background and been like, well, this looks silly. That's not going to go anywhere. On the third Kickstarter. But he told me he was hiring writers for the second book, Restaurants and Retail. So I put in an application and they read it, and I was one of the 18 that got chosen. And then in working with the team, I just kept asking for like to sit on meetings and like if I could work with the art director, and then I became the art director for the book. And then eventually I just became a creative lead, and now I'm part of the core team.
Oh, heck yeah. Lynn, how about you? How did you end up on this project?
See this person here that I'm sharing the screen with?
Mm-hmm.
Right there. So I got this wonderful DM from my friend here who said, hey, would you be interested? And I said, yes, because I've actually been following the Monsters of Murka universe since that first Kickstarter. And I thought it was brilliant and I thought it was hilarious. And then when I knew the theme of Chromatic Gamut, I could not say yes fast enough. I mean, this is just everything that my queer little heart loves. So
can you bring us into that? The chromatic. Oh goodness gracious! I had it and I lost. My brain has been fuzzy all day.
I understand the feeling very well.
The chromatic gamut.
Gamut. You got it. You're good. Yeah, so Chromatic Gamut itself is set in Magnamless, fantasy New York, and we focused it there because as a queer supplement, we kind of looked at America and we wanted to know, we asked ourselves, what's the gayest place in America? And obviously, like, San Francisco comes up, but
right.
Like when we think about queer history, some of the most important moments of our history happens in New York City. So we needed to do a New York expansion for Murka anyway. And so it was like divine providence. So it's set in New York City, and it is a exploration of the side effects of gentrification, as well as how corporations move into queer spaces and take over. While at the same time, and this was a bit of a trick to pull off, it is in our version of New York, it is ostensibly run by queer people. Our version of the Stonewall riot happens, and then queer people take over New York City, and they create, also known as the Chromatic Gamut, that's our word for the LGBTQIA, and they create a safe space for queer people all across America in New York City. And then over time, capitalism begins to seep through in our version of Wall Street called Glass Street, which does have a glass ceiling that you can in fact break if you want to try. Capitalism begins to seep through, and it begins to drain the color and vibrancy from Magnamulus. And these tycoons rise up, and everything that their influence begins to touch turns monochromatic, black and white, and it's an area that we call the noir because it becomes like a bad dime store novel. and it's beginning to spread in the city. So if you want, you can face these themes of capitalism taking over queer spaces, gentrification, the objectification of queer people in media, or you can just adventure in gay New York and completely ignore it. You can have your cake and eat it too.
So I one of my favorite things about Monsters of Murka is that you take a lot of the silly aspects of American pop culture and politics and you turn them into like ridiculous monsters. I have to ask both of you, what is your favorite monster from this expansion, if you don't mind my asking?
Lynn, you go first.
Is it wrong to say actually one of my favorite things is one of the villains? Because we were talking about capitalism and pride and all of these things, and early on we brainstormed a lot of folks, like who would we put in there, and there may be some fun poked at a certain prolific transphobic author.
Yes.
Just saying.
I was actually baiting this answer. Like I was like, somebody's got to do it.
Her name is Jay Crowley, and she is a human wizard who
of course
has a bunch of fun abilities. My favorite is that she can use her reaction to interrupt any spell and with a counter spell anytime, because she interrupts your argument and takes it as her own. It's great. She's one of our tycoons, and our tycoons are all really big like figures either in the queer community or around the queer community. So we've got Joe Rogan as Joe Rogan. We've got Geoff Freestar. We've got the super model of the underworld, which is a certain famous drag queen who may or may not have a reality television show and also likes to frack on their own land. So we poke a little fun at that.
Broke my heart when I found that out.
I know. Oof. Oof. But I think my favorite is probably, that's hard to say. I think, okay, my favorite is the warehouse, which is a human who is bitten by a warehouse, like a literal shipping warehouse, and then under the light of the full moon, they themselves turn into another warehouse that then seeks people out to bite and infect.
I hate you.
This is the reaction that we want. This is exactly.
Wait until you hear about the rats.
Oh,
No!
we've got like 7 different rats. We had to cut back.
To hear at least one of them before I let you go.
We had to cut out 5 or 6 rat monsters from the final book to make our cover. We have on the Kickstarter you can see Lone Muskrat, which is our loving homage to Elon Musk. So
I'm sorry, I'm still chuckling over warehouse.
The best part about writing monsters for these books is that a lot of times they start off as jokes in the writer's room, and it's like, no one would ever be stupid enough to make a monster that's a warehouse. And then it's like, but are we those idiots? Yes, we
Answer
are.
yes.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So has there been one of the questions that I have for something like this, something so satirical, is has there been anyone that you wanted to like target that you're just not sure if you should make a satire of them?
Not really. We have pretty clear rules in action fiction as to how we do things. Our policy is that we always punch up, sometimes sideways if it's necessary, but never down. So
I like that.
Yeah. So there really isn't anybody. I think we had some brief discussion about David Bowie and a couple of other kind of iconic queer people from the 80s that we were like, do we put them in here? They're kind of messy in their history, and in the end, they simply got cut for space because we only have so much of a budget. We have enough content in our brainstorming docs to make an entire other book.
All right, so I see that we have our villains. Are there figures that are helping our players fight the glass ceiling and fend off these warehouses?
Yes, Lynn, do you wanna talk about our pantheon that we?
Oh, sure.
Oh, there's a pantheon.
There's a pantheon. Yes, this is in addition to the pantheon that already exists in the Murka universe. This is a little bit different. First of all, this one is all queer. It is an all queer pantheon, and it's a little bit different also in that it's not their deific status doesn't really change with the ebb and flow of the zeitgeist. Whether or not they're an everyday name for the rest of Murka, these are deities. They are important, they're influential, and they're going to stay that way. And so all of them are inspired by real life people throughout different parts of history. Some are more contemporary, recently passed. Others are more of the 1960s, 70s era, you might say. And they all are representing something very, very different. So together we call them the family.
Oh, I like that.
Individually, they're known as icons. And so we have folks that, we had to have Freddie Mercury. That was just a given. But we also have Chi-Chi DeVane, who passed unfortunately recently, but we thought this was somebody that we wanted to honor. Fans of Sophie also. Sophie has a really interesting role to play in the pantheon. So if you're interested in the magic of music, this is an icon that you're really going to want to interact with. And it's just, we have eight icons. So Harvey Milk is in there, Brenda Howard is in there. Of course, we have to have, the mothers of Stonewall in there. So lots of names, some you may know, some you may not. But I hope you'll read into the real history and then see what we did with their lore, which we try to make it very respectful and playable and maybe a little funny too. But I mean, seriously, if you're a cleric, if you're somebody who's going to be engaging with the theology of the world, we wanted to create a reality that was affirming.
That sounds like a beautiful love letter to the Chromatic Gamut, which is just the dopest name for the LGBTQA family.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh no, go ahead.
Oh yeah. My Washingtonian is showing. I continuously apologize. As far as allies on the ground, we've got the Alphabet Mafia, which control Broadway. We call it Monarch Boulevard, and that's run by Neil Patrick Harris and Nathan Lane and Laverne Cox. We've got the Noble Houses, which are based off of the houses in the ball scene. So we've got 4 new houses that we've created because how do you do justice to these houses in a book? We make reference to them, but we made our own. And then we have the bodegas. The bodegas of New York are kind of like a little intercommunity network that all talk to each other and try and make the place the city better. So there are definitely allies inside on the ground. It's not just amazing gods.
So I have to ask, the bodega cats, they have to be present, right?
Yes.
They accounted for,
yes.
Of course.
I cannot confirm or deny whether or not there are rules for bodega cats. We had discussed them. I don't remember if they made the cut or not.
So again, this sounds like a beautiful love letter, especially for this time of year. So I kind of want to hear about who else do you have on your team working on this? I know that you guys have an incredibly amazing and talented, diverse team behind you. So I was just wondering if we could get a little shine for the people that couldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we actually split into 2 teams. My creative co-lead, Bailey Megrin, I always mess up her last name. I'm sorry, Bailey. Took one set of writers, and I took another. See, I had Lynn, I had Rue, who is an incredible trans indigenous person, and they wrote some of my favorite pieces in the book. On Bailey's team, we had Gwen. You can find her on Twitter. All of these people are linked at the bottom of our Kickstarter.
Awesome.
And she's a wonderful Black trans woman who wrote actually our BDSM monsters. She wrote most of our monsters, now that I think about it, especially any of the ones that started as a joke. I feel like she was right on top of, and she's actually transitioned from the writing team and is now part of the art team as well. We've got people from across the pond. Yeah.
Oh, your poor scheduling. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Lynn, was there anyone that you specifically wanted to shout out?
Oh my gosh. Well, Delilah is hilarious and was on the team with me. And this is somebody whose jokes and commentaries and insight, I think, helped lead to a lot of the rats in particular. I wish we had recorded that meeting, because that would have been some great outtakes to have. But no, Delilah is a new writer that I cannot wait to see more from. I am very excited. And Matt was brilliant in coming up with rules and mechanics for the subway. The subway is a really important feature. It is a playable part of this setting. And I absolutely was just in awe of that when that came up.
Yes, I believe he helped C, which was another writer on our team who is from Finland? That Sweden? That part of the world. I can never remember. I'm sorry, C. But they wrote our community building rules. So one of the things that we have in Chromatic Gamut is a set of rules that you can follow to improve your community and the effects that has in game. We wanted to create something that helped GMs give their players a sense of place and permanency inside of Magnanimous.
So from the sounds of it, you've got hilarious you've got hilarious monsters, and you have a beautiful pantheon. So this game can be played for laughs or for serious storytelling, it sounds like.
Yeah. that was always the goal, and it was kind of the challenge from the start, was how do we make something that people can engage with at whatever level they want. But it's also when it comes to Murka, action fiction has this policy of keeping things in the loop, and the loop stands for legitimately useful parody. So everything that we do has to say something. We can't just make satire for satire's sake. So yeah, that was the plan.
So I have to ask, you can't make a pantheon without having some subclasses. So can we get an idea of what subclasses we could be looking forward to here?
Okay. So on the Kickstarter, you'll see rules for our Path of Stone Barbarian, which is inspired by the Stonewall riots. And with that one, it's a defensive barbarian. So rather than using its rage to increase its damage, it can protect other people with its rage. And then we also have rules for our Order of the Donor, Blood Hunter, which is commentary on how gay people and gay men have not been allowed to donate blood because of the AIDS epidemic. So you kind of take that power back, and you get to utilize your blood not only as a weapon, but as a means to heal other people. What we don't have rules for, I think, the Sky Pirates. We have the Pact of the Fair, Mushroom Warlock.
You mind if I rewind that just a little bit? I think we just flew past that one a little too fast. My friend, did you say Sky Pirates?
Yes, we have a Sky Pirate subclass.
Okay, I'm sorry. We had to really let that one sink in.
Oh, wait till you hear about the parrot.
Oh yes. With it, we created a new familiar called the Unicorn Parrot. So that way you've got a little friend on your shoulder if you want it. They're a ranger subclass, so they can take to the skies. We also created a new terrain for rangers, the sky terrain. Let's see. It's very nice. We also have the Sub Knight and the Domex robe, which are two of our BDSM themed classes that are great. But we also have some slightly more serious ones, like the College of Advocacy Bard. And
that's really good.
Yeah, as well as the Forgotten Sorcerer, which is a sorcerer who draws their power from a spirit of someone who was never able to live their true life, like be them true selves. So their whole thing is that they help that spirit come to terms and like move on, and in return they themselves are granted power through that, and hopefully like some closure as well. And then the super serious subclass, the Stonks Wizard, because Wall Street.
Oh, and don't forget the monk.
How dare you? How dare you?
Oh yes, we have stats for the Way of the Vogue monk as well on the Kickstarter.
Vogue monk?
Yeah, that whole subclass was so fun to like write and edit. Rue worked on that one as well, and they've got all kinds of moves from like the actual voguing terminology built into the subclass as your moves, and basically it's a monk that can attack from range because you're basically striking poses and killing your enemies from afar.
And the art is spectacular, really. For that one in particular, that's one of my favorite pieces of art in the whole thing.
It just keeps getting better. I'm sorry. Like you tore my heart out with the Forgotten, and then you hit me with Stonks and a Vogue monk. How dare you?
That's this book in a nutshell. I feel like it's a great show of the dichotomy.
The Forgotten class, that was what was the base class for that again?
Sorcerer.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. Like I just got hit with so many emotions at once. Oh, that's upsetting but amazing. So I have to, are there any particular original, are there any spells that you're really taking with that you want the world to know about? Because I'm trying to find out as much as I can about this, because if you can't tell, I'm loving it.
I'm glad. It really does it does my heart like good to see someone laugh who isn't a part of the team. I don't know about you, Lynn, but I think my favorite spell was the Galaxy Brain spell.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's like a 6-level divination spell that will tell you everything about a monster that you use it on.
I'm just imagining the Stonks Wizard. Not only do I know what you're resistant to, but your portfolio could use some work. Oh my god. Oh, you could kill someone with a pose. That's so fun.
Yes.
Oh my god. Like I'm also thinking of my sister. She's gonna love she's the one that taught me about like dead drops and stuff. So I'm just imagining her playing this. And it's I need my hands on this. So when can we expect to get our hands on this? Like I know we're in our Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. How's the Kickstarter doing? How far along are we?
So the book is written and is currently like completely written, with the exception of what we unlock via sub goals. Not sub goals, sorry, that's the Twitch streamer. Kickstarter stretch goals.
Stretch goals. I forgot the term too. Don't even feel bad.
So we unlocked a Charlie's Angels expansion that we're going to go and that stars Lil Nas X, Lady Gaga, Janelle Monáe, and then Dolly Parton is our Bosley for that one. So we're going to have to go back in and write that. But the rest of the book is completely written and is in the process of being sensitivity read and edited. So the PDF, hopefully before the end of the year, conservatively before the end of the year.
Okay. I've completely abandoned the questions I was supposed to ask because I'm just straight up curious. And the fact that you mentioned Lil Nas X, I'm just yes. And that leads to this next question. What are we getting any love for our warlocks? We got any patrons we can dish about?
My co-creative lead actually wrote the warlock subclass, and she hates warlocks. So she wanted to create a warlock that she would enjoy playing. So we have the Pact of the Fair warlock, which is a mushroom themed warlock. Think cottagecore, but like more mushrooms. So they have a whole bunch of abilities where they can basically create these little mushrooms and then throw them out, and they explode and have various effects, as well as four new warlock invocations that can be applied to any warlock.
I am so excited to get my hands on this book. It's not only that it's well thought out and clever, but you're right. Everything that you've mentioned is useful. Like a rage monk, we need that. Like we need a defensive barbarian. These are things that I've actively been wanting in 5th edition, and I get to have a good chuckle about it while I play it. That is fantastic. Are there any adventures that are coming along with this as well?
Yeah, so there's the Charlie's Angels expansion is an adventure path. Bailey wants me to mention that our paladin is the paladin Oath of Drag Artistry. So they're drag paladins, and they
paladins,
drag queen paladins.
There you go, Skepsis. That's awesome.
Yes, so that's going to be a full adventure path. I don't remember what levels we have slated it for, but that'll take place in and around Magnanimous. I'm currently watching through the movies and television show to freshen up on that one. We have another adventure path that we can unlock if we hit the stretch goal that involves the Statue of Liberty, as well as her darker countenance, the Statue of Vengeance.
Oh, I want that one to happen. Like, you have no idea how much I want that one to happen.
Are you writing that, or do you just know about it?
I'm just a fan.
It's just a fan. That'll be written by my creative co-lead, Bailey, who is very excited and wants it to happen as well.
I also want this to happen. If you are watching this, please go and back this. I don't know how you can listen to what we've talked about and not immediately you can kill somebody with a pose.
You can duck walk and it's lethal. I would continue, but I think Noir needs a minute.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm trying not to lose it, but I'm seeing it, and it's beautiful. Oh my god. So magic items. Anything you want to spill on?
Oh, okay.
Or you want to save that? I'm letting you know. I'm trying to get as much as I can out of you.
We can give one out. Lynn, which of the items did you like that you saw? Do you remember any? Because you haven't looked at the material in a moment.
Yeah, I haven't. I know which things I've wanted to see in there personally, but I love some of the things that are tied to some of the subclasses, like the sub and the dom working together. They have some fun things going with that. So, but standalone items.
So the Dom and Sub Knights have access to, so like the Dominix Rogue has a conversion table that turns all of the normal rogue weapons into BDSM implements, like impact rods, floggers, that kind of thing. And the Sub Knight gets proficiency in rubber armor, which grants resistance to electrical damage because it's rubber. There are no switch classes, unfortunately. We should have thought of.
We want our representation.
Yeah, I messed up. My personal favorite item was probably, we have an everything bagel that's a major relic, like artifact, but I think it's the lunar cheese is my favorite.
Yes.
Because it's another
Lunar
artifact
cheese.
item that it's cheese that fell from the moon, and it canonically establishes in Murka that the moon is a portal to the elemental plane of cheese.
Well, we had Lone Muskrat and the whole space.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So,
It's all coming together. I see what you all did there.
That's probably my favorite item.
You can just say things in this setting that are just. We avoided getting bit by the warehouse, and then our Vogue punched this glass ceiling.
Well, there you go.
Any other time, you're just like, what is this guy on about? But it makes sense here, and I appreciate you all for that. So I know I'm certain that I saw some art of this, and I'm not sure if it's for this expansion or if it was from the original, but I do believe there's a Jeff Bezos monster in this setting.
Yes, Bezos, the great and powerful. He is the ruler of Amazon in the original book, and
it was the original. Okay.
Yes, a very terrible person. In Murka, for those that don't know, Amazon exists. But the reason they're able to get their packages so quickly is that all of their workers work in a pocket dimension where time moves faster. So they all have to they zip around. It's completely divorced from reality. And so they spend 10 years getting your package to you 5 minutes later. It's amazingly heinous.
See, the lore is so well thought out. I appreciate that. Is this expansion? Does it require the original books as well, or can you just grab Chromatic Gamut and just run it?
You can a standalone expansion. Obviously, if you have the original and Restaurants and Retail, you'll have more stuff to play with.
Right.
In specific, we have certain areas where we make light reference to, say, Restaurants and Retail, and vice versa. Actually, Marsha P. Johnson as an icon is in Restaurants and Retail, very lightly noted as having a temple in one of the faction's headquarters. I actually put that in there. I preceded it. So there's connections between the books that you can get if you have them all, but each one is standalone.
Okay, I am very excited about that. Are there any APs planned for this, or any demonstrations of the new expansion that we should be on the lookout for?
Yes, on the Action Fiction channel on Monday. Bailey, you're in chat. I don't remember the time. If you could put it up, that'd be great. We are doing a playtest of our new subclasses in Magnanimous with our wonderful DM Crown, who will be running an adventure. I don't know, 8. It's 8 Eastern Standard Time on the Action Fiction channel.
There we go. Okay, I am looking forward to that. Do we happen to know which subclasses might be being played?
Oh, okay. Actually, I can look this up because
I'm so sorry to just drop this on you. I told you, I'm just going full fanboy at this point.
I love to see it, so it's all
We'd
good.
love to see it.
Oh, you guys got KP too? Oh!
Yep. Yeah, KP will be joining us as our Vogue monk. We will be. It was just announced. The Stunks Wizard, the Druid of Fluidity. Our Druid circle is the circle of fluidity, gender fluidity as expressed by the animal kingdom. That one was written by a friend of mine, and I love it a lot. And the Sky Byron, as well as all of the unique backgrounds for the setting that we wrote. Oh, and we have 2 sidekick tracks, including an Enemies to Lover sidekick track. So if you wanted to live out all your Enemies to Lovers dream, we got you covered, friends.
We see you AO3 fans, you.
And I believe at that time, or by the end, around the time of the end of the month, our community server on Discord will be opening up playtesting to anybody who's in the Discord. So if you want to play it before and be like a part of the editing process and give your feedback, you can feel free to find the Action Fiction community Discord. You can go to the Twitter. It's right there.
Awesome. So I get just a few more questions before I let you all go because I'm like grilling you here. Have there been any challenges in this Kickstarter since you guys have started?
Yeah, there a couple surprising ones and a couple that I absolutely expected. Kickstarters have a lot of moving parts that you don't normally see on the outside. So learning just how much I didn't know about Kickstarter was tough. The ones that I wasn't expecting, advertising has actually been a bit of an issue. Normally, when we do a Kickstarter, we put out ads on Facebook for 2 weeks prior to it, but Facebook had kind of hit us with some ad takedowns, saying that they don't allow advertising for problematic material or offensive
that
material.
is certainly not true.
So it was social issues. That was another one. They don't allow advertising for social issues. So we had a bit of trouble getting started, but we're also working with BackerKit, who is doing their best to get us seen as many communities as they can. But advertising was a challenge I was not expecting.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest one. Surprisingly, we have not gotten as much hate as I was expecting. We've gotten a lot of what's the point of making a gay D&D setting? You could just make D&D gay.
Well, we did.
We did. We monetized it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm very glad to hear that you haven't gotten a lot of it. I was worried about that.
Yeah, I was prepped and ready for the haha, look at the gays, let me throw around these slurs. But we only got maybe one or two of those in our ads. It's been a relatively wholesome experience all in all. And then other than that, maintaining a healthy work-life balance is the only other thing that comes to mind.
I'm very glad for the success of this. It's doing well, and I hope that it keeps doing even better because I want more. This has been Monsters of Murka's third Kickstarter?
It's our third Kickstarter. It's the first one that Jared, CJ, and Brad, who are like the core three founders, haven't been a part of because they're still editing away in the restaurants and retails dungeons. That book has blown up to about 450 pages. So it's so this is the first action fiction separate team where somebody else has kind of gotten to take the reins, and action fiction has basically been like a publishing house for them. And it's also our first Kickstarter where we are doing community copies, which I'm really excited about. Our next stretch goal currently is community copies unlocked, which will be PDFs for anybody who can't afford the book. Online, our website is being redesigned, but it should be up in a couple of months, I think, a few months before the end of the year. By the time the PDF is out, it'll be up. But we unlock 25 community copies that'll go on the website, and then every stretch goal thereafter unlocks more community copies. Mm-hmm. And then if we get high enough, I think it's the $125,000 stretch goal, we will actually donate a full series of the Monsters of Murka trilogy to the Columbus Metropolitan Library System, which works with the entire Ohio library system, as well as I believe we're planning to donate to the San Diego library system, because we have an action fiction member there, as well as the Seattle library system up in Washington.
That's amazing. It sounds like they couldn't have found a better team to let run on their own with this. From everything that I've heard and knowing some of the writers that you have on your team, I am so very excited for this, and I'm wishing you all the very best of luck. Before I let you go, because we already got a time here, is there anything else that you want to let our viewers know about your project, or just anything about what you're doing in general?
Lynn, why don't you go first?
Oh gosh. Oh, there's so much. Just seriously, I have a little thing in there, which was if you know New York, if you know the history of the subway, you'll know that there are abandoned subway stations. And in one of them, about 11 years ago, there was an art installation that lasted all of 24 hours. It's the coolest thing in the world. It was called the Underbelly Project. And I found a way to reference that in my nod to the City of Doors. So if you were a fan of Planescape and things like that, and you really like art, there's a little thing that you can interact with in the world. So enjoy.
Oh, I can't wait for I can't wait for somebody to find that and go, really?
My time is mostly right now just consumed with getting the art done for the book. The only thing I can think of to shout out at the moment is our next stretch goal is pins. So once we unlock community copies, there will be a pin add-on. So if you love collectible pins, now's your chance.
We've got so many pin junkies in the community. You all know what to do. Make it happen, Captain. You still got space on that book bag. You can make it work.
You have to make room for some of these because they're great.
I can't wait to see you. And again, I'm wishing you all the success just because this is brilliant and I'm so excited. And it's this Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Action Fictions Twitch channel. Yep. Be there because you get to see these subclasses at work. And I hear KP is the Void Monk, so like I have a show at that time and I might just not be there. It does. I'm just kidding. Critical Misses. I'll be there. So with that being said, we're going to start on our outro here. Thank you very much for joining us, Manny. Thank you very much for joining us, Lynn. If I could have you all drop your Twitters in the chat so that we can get people who show you some love, that'd be great. Sure. And as for us here at Gen Con, please stick around because we do have Gen Con TV Pride Charity One Shot with Transplanar RPG coming up. As for our normal schedule, on Mondays at 6 p.m., we have Board Games with the Brothers Murph. On Wednesdays, we have This Game Gets Dicey. And on Friday, 2 p.m., there's TableTakes. Remember to follow or subscribe and to turn on your notifications. And if you miss a show, you can find most of our streams on YouTube just one day later. If you want to connect with other Gen Con fans, check out our official Discord. And again, I want to thank you, the viewers. I want to thank the previous hosts who are getting on with their Friday. And most importantly, I want to thank you, Manny and Lynn. Oh my God, I don't know why I almost messed up your name. I'm so sorry. I want to thank you both for coming back here and introducing us to this beautiful, thoughtful, and hilarious game. That being said, everybody have a great Friday and stick around for Transplaners Pride Charity One Shot. Bye, everybody.